Some horror movies make you scream. These ones stay in your head long after they're over. From the fog of Silent Hill to the endless maze of the Backrooms, blood-red oceans, terrifying survival nightmares, and legendary franchises returning with chilling new chapters. Today, we're counting down the top 10 horror movies of 2025 and 2026 every horror fan needs to watch. And our number one pick might be the one everyone will be talking about.
Something's happened.
Starting our countdown at number 10 is Return to Silent Hill, the long-awaited return to one of horror's most legendary franchises. This psychological horror follows James Sunderland after he receives a mysterious letter from someone he believed was gone forever, drawing him back to the fog-covered town of Silent Hill. As James searches for the truth, the abandoned streets become a maze of terrifying creatures, haunting memories, and disturbing visions that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Every step deeper into the town uncovers darker secrets, forcing him to confront a past he can no longer escape. With its eerie atmosphere, unforgettable creature designs, and faithful adaptation of the beloved game, Return to Silent Hill is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated horror releases of the year.
Passport picture.
Demons do exist.
Taking the number 9 spot is Hokum, a supernatural horror film that proves the most terrifying places are often hiding in plain sight. This eerie thriller blends Irish folklore with psychological horror. The story follows horror novelist O.H. Bowman as he travels to a remote Irish inn to scatter his late parents' ashes. But what begins as a quiet journey for closure quickly turns into a nightmare. After he uncovers the legend of a witch said to haunt the abandoned honeymoon suite, as disturbing visions and unexplained events begin to surround him, Ohm realizes the hotel's dark history may be far more personal than he ever imagined. With its slow-burning suspense, haunting atmosphere, and unsettling mystery, Hokum delivers the kind of horror that lingers long after the credits roll. Coming in at number 8 is Ready or Not 2. Here I Come, the highly anticipated sequel that proves surviving the first game was only the beginning. With Samara Weaving returning as Grace, this horror comedy promises even bigger stakes, bloodier action, and deadlier surprises. After escaping the Ladomas family's deadly ritual, Grace is pulled into another twisted game when powerful enemies begin hunting her, as she fights to survive and uncover the truth behind a much larger conspiracy. Every move brings new dangers and impossible choices. Packed with brutal action, dark humor, and non-stop suspense, the sequel expands everything fans loved about the original while raising the chaos to a whole new level. Coming in at number 7 is Exit 8, a psychological horror film based on the viral indie game that transforms an ordinary subway corridor into a terrifying nightmare. Sometimes, the smallest detail can mean the difference between escape and starting over. The story follows a commuter trapped inside an endless underground passage with one simple rule: spot every anomaly or be forced back to the beginning. As the hallway grows stranger with each loop, familiar surroundings become increasingly unsettling, making it impossible to know what's real and what isn't. What makes Exit 8 so terrifying is its brilliant simplicity. Instead of relying on jump scares, it builds suspense through subtle visual changes, eerie silence, and the constant fear of overlooking something hiding in plain sight. Coming in at number 6 is Lee Cronin's The Mummy, a terrifying new reimagining of one of horror's most legendary monsters. This fresh take promises to bring the franchise back to its darkest and most terrifying roots. Although the plot remains largely under wraps, the film centers on an ancient evil, awakened after centuries of silence. As a deadly curse begins to spread, those caught in its path must uncover the truth before an unstoppable force is unleashed. What makes this reboot so exciting is Lee Cronin's reputation for intense, visceral horror and his promise to deliver a much darker vision of the Mummy than audiences have seen before.
We need this, not just the COI, all of us. We need this.
There aren't enough.
Breaking into the top 5 is Iron Lung, a sci-fi horror film based on the viral indie game that transforms deep space into a claustrophobic nightmare. This adaptation delivers suspense where every second feels like your last. The story follows a prisoner offered freedom in exchange for one impossible mission: piloting a tiny submarine through an alien ocean made entirely of blood, with no windows and only blurry camera images revealing what's outside. Every descent into the darkness brings the terrifying feeling that something is waiting just beyond sight. What makes Iron Lung so terrifying is its suffocating atmosphere, relentless tension, and fear of the unknown. Rather than relying on loud scares, it builds suspense through silence, isolation, and your own imagination.
I found a place.
Taking the number 4 spot is Backrooms, the big screen adaptation of one of the internet's most terrifying urban legends. The creator of the viral Backrooms series, this film turns a familiar online nightmare into a chilling cinematic experience. The story follows a man who suddenly slips out of reality and becomes trapped inside an endless maze of empty yellow hallways, with no clear escape and an unseen presence lurking in the shadows. Every wrong turn drags him deeper into a place where the normal rules of reality no longer exist. What makes Backrooms so terrifying is its found footage style, unsettling atmosphere, and constant feeling of isolation. Instead of relying on jump scares, it creates fear through endless uncertainty and the nightmare of never finding a way out. Taking the number 3 spot is Send Help, a survival horror thriller. The greatest danger isn't always the island, it's the person stranded with you. The story follows 2 co-workers who survive a devastating plane crash and become trapped on a remote island with little hope of rescue. As supplies disappear and desperation takes over, trust begins to fall apart. What starts as a fight against nature soon turns into a tense psychological battle where every decision could mean life or death. What makes Send Help so compelling is its intense atmosphere, gripping suspense, and character-driven storytelling. Instead of relying on supernatural monsters, it builds fear through paranoia, isolation, and the terrifying lengths people will go to just to survive. Taking the runner-up spot is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, the next chapter in one of horror's most iconic franchises. This sequel pushes the Rage virus saga into even darker territory. Set decades after the original outbreak, the story follows survivors trying to rebuild what's left of humanity. But when a dangerous mission leads them toward the mysterious Bone Temple, they uncover new horrors that threaten everything they thought they knew about the infected. Every step forward becomes a fight for survival in a world where danger is always one mistake away. With brutal action, relentless suspense, and the franchise's signature fast-paced Infected, this sequel looks set to deliver one of the most intense horror experiences of the year.
Nikki?
Taking the number 1 spot is Obsession, a psychological horror thriller that proves the most terrifying monsters aren't always supernatural. They can exist inside the human mind. This chilling story turns a simple obsession into a nightmare that's impossible to escape. The film follows a character whose growing fixation slowly begins to consume every part of their life. As paranoia intensifies and reality starts to blur, every choice draws them deeper into a disturbing mystery where trust disappears and nothing is quite as it seems. The closer they get to the truth, the more dangerous the obsession becomes. What makes Obsession worthy of the top spot is its slow-burning suspense, haunting atmosphere, and psychological tension that lingers long after the credits roll. Instead of relying on jump scares, it delivers horror through emotion, mystery, and constant unease.